Guys, welcome back to the Spurs 9501 vlog. I've got Stephen from the Vermont US Supporters Club on the line, and we're going to discuss the latest 3-0 win against Leeds. So, hi, Stephen. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good. Excellent. So, Stephen, give us your thoughts about, firstly, let's talk about the lineup that Jose had. What's your thoughts on the lineup, and why do you think he made those changes?
I think it was tactically just about there. Really, the only issue that I had was the Winks instead of Sissoko, particularly because Doherty was pushing up so much.
Yeah.
And I think that, if you watch the game, that seems to be where Leeds had most of their success, was pressuring there.
Yeah.
I understand most of the other changes, and I think it actually ended up working well for what Jose was trying to do. But that was the only one when I saw it that I was a little questionable on.
Okay, excellent. So let's talk about the match then. I mean, the first 20 minutes, I mean, Leeds had quite a few chances. I mean, what's your thoughts on the first part of the game?
Yeah, the game went pretty much how I expected it to. Leeds are a very good team. The scorelines don't always reflect that. They could lose 6-0 one match, and then the next match, they're winning. They're a very exciting team to watch. Very, they almost remind me of peak Poch era Spurs in a way. They're fearless. They don't take hits to their confidence. When they concede, and even after giving away the penalty, they were still looking to press and attack. But yeah, Spurs, they looked a team short on confidence for a good chunk of that match. It wasn't until after, Son's goal where it really looked like, they were back to winning ways and that winning mentality. It seems like, once Son was able to get that second goal, they just felt like a weight was lifted off, and they were able to play the way they want to. And, when we came back for the second half, I think it was clear that, they had that confidence back. They had that swagger. They were able to, play the game that they want to play and really limit Leeds. And I think the most important piece of that was two of Leeds' best attacking players this season in Jack Harrison and Rodrigo. They were completely invisible. They had to be subbed out. I mean, that just shows how much improved Spurs were in that second half.
Yeah.
First half, definitely short of confidence, especially on that right-hand side. As I mentioned, Doherty was giving the ball away way too many times in attacking positions. And Winks just isn't Sissoko. He's not as good defensively in that right back position. He did well today, when we were doing well as a team. But when it was time to defend, that was the weak side. And I understand, once Sissoko came on, no more problems, save for, Doherty getting himself sent off right at the end there.
Yeah, so do you think if Leeds had a Harry Kane up front, a couple of the chances that Bamford had could have put them away, it would have been a different story?
It could have been. And, credit to Bamford. He's a very good striker this season, double digits already. He's looking really good. Yeah, he had a couple of chances that maybe he could have done better with. But for Leeds, he's their guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, if he was more of a world-class player like a Harry Kane, maybe they do get some of those goals. But he's no slouch either. He's definitely somebody that, I was particularly worried about. I think that, between Dyer and Toby, they did a really good job of limiting clear-cut chances for him.
Sure. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. So let's start with the goals then. The first one, and I'll talk to you later about some of the players' performances. But do you think it's a penalty? Some people saying just outside, some people saying on the line. What do you think?
When I saw it in real time, I thought penalty for sure. Even looking at the replays, it looked to me like the contact was right on the line. Again, still a penalty, but I can see why some people are a little hesitant. But it's one of those where I don't think it was a clear and obvious error.
Yeah.
And the penalty for me should have been the right decision in that case. If there's not enough in it to pull it back, then ruling on the field has to stand.
Sure. And another good penalty by Harry. Normally goes to the right, but went down the middle. Why do you think that was?
Yeah, that one, I don't know why I always get nervous when Harry steps up. He's got such a great record from the spot. I don't know how he does it. He just, whether he's giving him, the eyes or if it's his body language or something, he always manages to pick the right option. To the point where even if the goalie does guess the right way, he's usually blasted it so hard that there's just no stopping it. And in this case, you saw the goalie did try to kick a leg out to save it, but it was just perfect. It was right in a spot where unless he didn't move at all, it was going in.
Yeah.
And credit to Bergwijn too. I mean,
Yeah.
I earning that penalty was fantastic.
Yeah.
I think, I know we'll talk more about performances, but Bergwijn as a whole, he did everything today except score. I mean, he was immense.
Yeah. I mean, my only worry about Harry is that he's getting all these ones. The law of averages says he's going to miss one soon. I just hope he doesn't miss it in an important match. That's my only worry.
Yeah, you and me both.
Excellent. So let's talk about the second goal, which is Son and Harry Kane link up again. Give us your thoughts about the goal, and these guys are just like telepathic with each other.
Yeah, that one for me, as soon as you see the position that Harry finds himself in and the little look up that he gives right before passing it, you just knew that Son was making it to the end of that and that was going in. I mean, those two have such a dynamic partnership that, it doesn't always come off, sure, but there are those instances where that's it. This is the one. Here it comes. It was a great pass, great pick out. Son was able to get on it, and it wasn't an easy chance for sure. He did sneak it in at that near post there. Maybe the goalie could have done a little better. It could have easily gone wide if he was just, a half step off. To me, that was perfection. And that's, I think, clinical of their partnership so far this season. I mean, looking at Harry Kane and Son, that record, they just broke Fabregas's record in 16 games. So amazing. 10 goals, 10 assists at least. And Kane's got that one fewer game. He's, new record holder there. Can't say it's not deserved either.
No, absolutely. But let me ask you a question. If it's Bergwijn in that same position, is he making the same run as Son or not?
No, I don't think he's making the same run. I think Son's got the confidence. I think he knows that if he makes that run, he's going to get found out. I don't think Bergwijn necessarily has that confidence. He could make the same run, and I'm sure Kane would find him, but I don't think that he's got it in his head to even make that run. If it was Bergwijn in that situation, I would see him more, trying to take that half step back to give himself a little space. And then, the move kind of just falls apart from there. But yeah, I mean, Son and Kane, they're just on a whole other level this season. And I don't think anybody's able to really replicate that in the league.
My only worry is if we lose one of them, then there's going to be an issue. But let's not worry about that until it happens. Hopefully it won't happen for a long time. Yeah. So the third goal was, I don't know about you, but I don't think we scored many goals from set pieces. So it's good to see us getting a goal from a set piece. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I always worry, and I was even talking to some of the Vermont guys during the game saying, I really wish we had a better set piece taker. I think Dyer from a direct free kick is pretty good, but from corners, we just don't score very many of them. So it was refreshing to see Toby get his head on the end of it. And he actually put it over the line 2 or 3 times, really make sure that was counting. So that was really nice to see. Good change of pace.
Do you think it's right that Son, one of our most attacking players, is actually taking the corners? Shouldn't be one of the fullbacks taking it? What do you think? Son should be in the area, shouldn't he?
Yeah, I would think so. He's not the tallest guy. He's not the biggest one. But I also don't think that he's necessarily the best at deliveries either.
Yeah, he's great. His penalties not great either. Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is, who else is there? I can't think of anybody else who could really whip in across for Spurs to make it dangerous. I understand why Son's doing it, but I think it's less Son's skill at the corners and more there's just nobody else on the field to really take it.
Okay.
If we had a Lo Celso on there,
I was just about to say Lo Celso would probably take it.
Yeah, or even Reguilon, if one of them was on, I'm sure they would have taken it instead, but both of them not featuring, so it's got to be Son.
got to be some. Okay, excellent, great stuff. I wanted to just finish off now. I want your thoughts on a couple of players that are taking a lot of criticism here. First of all, Matt Doherty is getting a lot of criticism for his performance as a right back. How do you think he did today?
I actually think that some of the criticism's warranted. I thought he was really poor. He gave it away in, high up the field. And then, as I mentioned, there's nobody there to really cover for him. I thought he was a little slow getting back at times too. He had the two rash challenges to get himself sent off. He's got the talent. I'm not one calling for him to be, completely eliminated from the squad or anything. I think he is an asset, especially in some of those cup games. But today, I just don't think his head was in it. I think he maybe was trying to do a little too much to justify,
Right.
his position there.
Yeah.
And it didn't work for him. I think we'll see him again in one of these cup fixtures, for sure. But I think this might be an instance where Jose's just disappointed, and now it's Aurier's time to step back in and make the spot his own.
Okay. And the second guy I wanted you to give some thoughts about is Steven Bergwijn. I mean, you just said he played well. He had a couple of chances. One chance I could see he missed it, and Mourinho was furious, throwing his hands up in the air, screaming, etc. What do you think's the issue with Steven Bergwijn at the moment? Why is he not? I know he's doing stuff defensively, but he wasn't brought to be a defensive player. He's brought to be an offensive player. So why is he not cutting it offensively? We can't rely on Kane and Son all the time.
Yeah, at this point, I think it's just got to be confidence for him. He's doing everything well except scoring. And, it's one of those things as a player, you have to wonder, is that just kind of adding up in his head? He's getting all these chances and he's not putting them away. Sometimes players are their own worst critics. And I think when he's missing, especially one of those really clear-cut chances where he should have scored, and he's not doing that, that's got to weigh down on him. Again, I don't think he's somebody who's a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. He should be doing better for sure. But this is one of those games where it looks better on paper because we got the win. I think we'd be talking about him a lot differently had he missed those chances like at Liverpool and we lost.
Yeah.
But credit where it's due. He did the work that was needed of him today, aside from scoring. He's just, whatever Kane and Son are doing in practice to find the back of the net, he's got to do the same thing. Otherwise, I could see him being sacrificed for, maybe Lucas or, Lamela when he's back. Because Mourinho, he's one of those coaches who, if you're doing the things that he's asking you to and you're doing them well, you're great. If you're not, he's got no problem pulling you back and making you work your way, so it's not like he's losing his chances. He can keep working himself back into the picture, but he really needs to start scoring, because if one of those other guys, Lucas, Lamela, if they start scoring, that position's gone. He's lost it. And, you can't really blame Jose for doing that either.
And one final thing before we finish off here, Stephen, it's just been announced that Pochettino is now the manager of PSG. Did you want to make some comments about that?
Sure. I definitely well-deserved. I'm interested to see what he does with, an actual transfer budget.
Some money, actually, yeah.
Yeah, he can really make that into his own team. PSG, they've got a lot of big names. I'm not sure how he's going to be able to cope with those big personalities. It'll be an interesting challenge for him, but I think he's, for them, the right guy to do it. He's got the ideas, he's got the history with them. It's exciting for sure. I'm happy he's not in England coaching. It'd be really disappointing if he did end up at United or City or something. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets along there. I don't think he's the complete product that they might expect, but I think he's definitely going to introduce something fascinating for them, and it'll be really interesting to see whether some of his philosophies resonate with the players. I've been seeing a lot of he's not going to be able to get anything out of Neymar. Neymar's a big personality. It's going to go downhill. I would disagree with that. I think, if anything, he's really going to like working with Neymar and with Mbappe. now that Cavani's at Man United, I think that's the only piece of the puzzle that really would have worried me. So now it's just a question of, well, can he do it? And I think, my gut tells me he's going to be able to, and he'll do some great things. I don't think he's going to turn them into world beaters right away. Maybe they'll do better in Champions League in 2 or 3 seasons, but I don't see them really winning it unless something drastic changes from his philosophy. Because as we've seen, he can be a little stubborn in his tactics. If things start not working well, you got to wonder, is he going to be able to make those changes for PSG? And unlike us Spurs supporters, they're kind of used to being top of their league, competing for trophies. The second that stops, those fans are going to turn on him.
Yeah, exactly. And which, just one final thought, which players do you think he may come back to Spurs for?
Dele, he's got to be first on that
Dele
list.
Alli,
I mean, yeah, he's just such a fascinating player. He performed incredibly well for Pochettino. He was able to get a lot out of him. And thinking about how PSG kind of set themselves up, I think he could be a fascinating attacking option for them, right in the center of the field. I don't think he's necessarily somebody who would go in and improve the team immediately, but I think he's definitely somebody who could add a different dimension to PSG. And I think that relationship with Pochettino would definitely lend to, maybe bringing him aboard and giving him a shot there in France.
Yeah, I mean, there's also talk about Serge Aurier and Hugo Lloris going as well. So we'll see how that pans out. I mean, Lloris has always wanted to go back to France, so this may be his opportunity, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't see Aurier as being necessarily first on his list. But, maybe Hugo, it would take a lot. I don't know that he necessarily wants to go toe to toe with, Daniel Levy and try to grab Hugo from us.
Yeah.
But if he does, I bet we're going to get a lot of money for him.
Yeah, we get okay,
for
Steve.
sure.
Great stuff. Been a pleasure talking to you. Really appreciate that. And hopefully, if you're available, we'll talk to you again after the Brentford match just to get your views on the semi-final of the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, hopefully it's another win. I'd love to get on there.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.